Welcome to the AI-assisted Organision podcast with myself, Piers Linney, and my co-host and co-founder of Deepmind AI, Alok Shukla. Hi, Alok.
Hey, Piers, how are you?
Well, I've had an amazing weekend, Alok. So you probably saw that Atherton Bikes had a great weekend. We've got a bike called AM200, a downhill bike, which is ridden by a chap called Charlie Hatton. He won the World Championship up in Fort William in Scotland. I couldn't get up there. I had a family around. And not only that, we had the number 2 podium spot as well in the men's elite. Andreas Kolb became number 2. So we've got the fastest bike in the world now. And this company building now for, probably 4 years, but a lot of hard work. It's just fantastic to see the results coming through. But to tie back to this, I sent to you, Alok, a Steve Jobs snippet from about 30 years ago, where he was comparing the efficiency of different animals as to how they travel. And the condor can travel a mile with very, very low energy input. Humans don't fare particularly well. But you put a human on a bike, and they are far more efficient than the condor. What Steve Jobs said, the quote that I quite like, was that he said that the computers are like bicycles of the mind. And in a way, that's what AI is. And this is 30 years ago. So now we're looking at something that's going to make us even more efficient. So that's the link between Deepmind AI and the podcast and my weekend. How was yours?
No, great weekend. It's really hot here in Portugal at the moment. So yeah, enjoying this.
I keep seeing you grappling on social media.
Yeah, so I started learning jiu-jitsu, so that keeps me busy.
Yeah, my daughter's a green belt and judo wants me to do that as well. Anyway, let's get into it. Otherwise, we'll get into grappling for an hour. So I get a lot of news this week, but a lot of it is sort of consumer implementations, consumer use cases. Things like text and music. You can use Meta platform and various other ones as well to create a song and music on the fly, which is all very interesting. And I do recommend you go look at these things and just try and understand a bit about the art of the possible, essentially. And we'll come back in the AI of the week, something kind of along those lines, although it does have quite serious business use cases. But we're going to cover some news on LinkedIn, Google DeepMind, robotic vision, which is going to become more important over time as we see robotics evolve and scale up, prices come down as a result. Talk about GPU shortages and quite a lot of news to implement AI. We've got events, got a new website. We're going to talk you through, give you an intro to one of our white papers, a bit of a sneak peek. And, lots of other news we'll get into. So LinkedIn. So you're seeing now a lot of companies now are scrambling to implement AI into everything they do. Some is protective, some it adds value. I think in most cases it seems to be the former rather than the latter. I think in terms of LinkedIn, they are creating LinkedIn Coach. So this is used in job applications and networking. And the tool can provide application support for skill training. And if you didn't know that, LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. The idea is that Microsoft's gone all in on AI as well. So this is also going to pervade LinkedIn. And they're saying that Microsoft's in a broader integration of its chatbots to all of its products. It's actually going to include LinkedIn as well. So that could be quite powerful in terms of helping you navigate the complicated world of finding talent and finding a job.
No, for sure. I mean, LinkedIn is so incredibly valuable. I mean, for us, it's hugely valuable, like keeping up to date with the latest news, connecting with new people. And I think for anyone that's trying to expand their business, they really need to be paying attention to it because it offers so much good social reach as well.
And another news, Google DeepMind. So, the amount of pace at which these white papers and the news comes out is just insane. So we won't spend too much time on this, but we talk a lot about software and large language models, diffusion models, change the world in terms of being able to communicate with technology. But eventually, AI will go mobile. So, we're going to see robotics evolve. We say in our AI-assisted kind of framework that, software, the focus is 2 to 5 years will change materially. Robotics is a bit further out. But one of the big issues with robotics is the way in which a robot, like a human, actually engages with and understands the world around it. We have all our senses, and robotics are not quite there yet. And today, and this has been your background, Alok, isn't it? It's been quite expensive machine learning. So they've created the Robotic Transformer 2, RT2. And this is a vision language action, VLA model, they call it, which learns both from robotics data, like machine learning as well, but also from the web as well. And it translates that knowledge into generalized instructions that robots can understand. So this means that in this new paper that they've actually put out, that the robots start to learn from web data they access around them, machine learning data is provided to them based on different models. But the idea here is that it becomes a lot faster and a lot cheaper to train robots. And I guess a lot, I mean, I'm no massive expert in this, but they'll start using a lot more synthetic data as well.
No, for sure. And I think that these kind of like multiple inputs, which can help the system learn much faster, it's just accelerating the potential of what's possible. I saw another paper where they were showing how basically an LLM could learn how to use equipment by reading the instruction manual, basically, right? So I think that the more inputs...
Yeah, humans should try doing that too.
But like, it's becoming quite impressive at what's possible. And there are some real big breakthroughs coming in robotics, actually quite soon as well. They've got some humanoids in the States, which I'm quite excited to see what happens. But it's converging very fast. That's the bottom line.
And this is something which is quite easy. You know, a lot of like when you're trying to, I did I released an article on LinkedIn in my newsletter, which is also sign up for business as usual. And it was about the end of the trainee. And, you sort of articles out there. And a lot of the time, the images you try and integrate AI into the real world, you tend to use robots. But eventually, you see Tesla, Boston Dynamics, you are going to see this robots change the world. I mean, eventually they're going to be industrial, going to be commercial, but like anything else over time, they'll become cheaper to buy, and probably they're £500,000 or Boston Dynamics. But eventually, what's the right form factor, helping you do everything you do today. But making it cheaper, these are the first steps to make it a lot easier for people to access, because this is going to be the next phase of changing the world. It'll be software first, but the robots are definitely
100%.
Right. In other news, so you're seeing, I mean, I don't know if you're involved in crypto, you weren't, were you? I had a dabble, but the GPU shortage that created, and now you've got another one now, because of AI. So, the companies just buying these things as fast as they can be produced, and these are the chips power AI rather than the kind of the CPU. And NVIDIA, which we'll talk about a bit about later, are the leaders. Now, what you're seeing though is demand is far outstripping supply. So Microsoft are now saying, I don't quite know why they're putting out a press release saying this. Maybe it's a call to action for other people or other or investors to fund a lot of new startups that are appearing. They're saying that unless they can, people can produce, they can access supply of GPUs, then not just will AI be slowed down, but they're saying they might have potential service disruption. It's quite interesting. You would have thought the service scales, you sort of stop and sort of forecast your service to grow faster than your ability to provide it. So I'm not sure how that works. But they're saying that they might not be able to get enough GPUs for their data centers. The rising demand for AI services has led the company to seek for additional capacity. So maybe, Al, if you guys think about this, which I am doing now a bit deeper as we talk about it, this is a call to action. And you are seeing a lot of these GPU startups that are raising huge amounts of money across the US, in Asia and the Far East. In the Middle East.
Yeah, no, and I think there's also like two things here. It's going to show that like prime access to compute is going to be charged at a premium because there's a shortage, right? So that's going to be like one thing. And then the second thing, absolutely, like I read an interesting thing where they said that actually the state of some of these LLM models might be better than we realize, because at the moment everything's constrained by compute. So when actually these systems had more compute, the outputs might even be even better, basically, right? So I think
that's quite interesting. It's like, how big will the fish grow? It depends how big the pond is.
Yeah, or how much food is getting, or whatever like that, right? Like, and that's an interesting point here. But I think Microsoft's just doing things in a very smart way, so that they're signaling who needs to allocate budget and reserve and book now, basically, isn't it? To kind of like stay ahead of the curve.
I mean, we don't want to give financial advice on this podcast, but buy NVIDIA. It doesn't seem to be although its stock price, I know how many magnitude has increased over the last couple of years. But it looks like there's some way to go yet, given that news. So quite a bit of news from Implement AI. We've got a new website, which is the first bit of news. So we've been working on this for quite a while, and we've had a kind of a holding page, and we've been just seeing where things are going, which services and products people are more interested in. Well, we've now also realized that a lot of what we're doing is of interest to large enterprise as well as SMEs. The website's going to have different sections. You probably see those rolling out now. Enterprise, SME, we'll talk about training in a minute. Digital track as well, white papers, the podcast, obviously, and we'll also come back to white papers. So you're going to see that rolling out over the course of. I'm also going to give you a bit of a sneak preview on just some of the content we have on the website.
No, absolutely. And as always, if you want to stay up to date, sign up for our AI Insider newsletter. But yeah, there's going to be more information kind of come out on the website over the next week or so, and with the white papers, which we'll go into a bit more detail. Our goal is really to make it as easy and clear as possible for entrepreneurs, enterprises to become AI assisted, because really that's our mission.
Yeah, and you can find more information about, we talked about this quite a bit last week, fractional chief AI officers. It's kind of all of our products and services. Some of them work better for, smaller companies and larger companies, but generally they're kind of relevant across the board, especially things like training, which we're also going to come on to. But I think, Alo, you wanted to give a bit of a sneak preview of the kind of, I guess it's like a foundational white paper, isn't it, that we've written?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the YouTube section of the podcast. So I'm just going to share my screen, and then we can have a chat through it, Piers, because there's quite a lot of elements that we both worked on and went through, and it just helps give the right framework, because we get lots of messages from people saying, but how specifically can I use it? What do I need to think about?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, we'll kind of talk through it, but also on YouTube, maybe for the week as well, a few visual sections as well. So still listen, but YouTube may be more helpful in some of these sections.
Cool. So the whole point is this is a blueprint for SMEs on how they can implement AI. And really the whole point of it is like helping people understand, where is the opportunities with a horizon scan, and also like how can you actually leverage it tactically, basically, right? And we give a 5-level framework. So we talk about, opportunities and threats and key opportunities that you can do by departments. And then we also talk about, the 5 levels of AI integration. So we look at this with a model where you go from level 0, where you've got like no AI at all, and level 5, which is fully AI assisted. So we find that this helps.
So just go over that. So we liken that, which I think works quite well, to the EVs, or sort of fully automated cars, which is the end game. Right now, they're not. It's kind of a continuum, and it's the same in your AI assisted organization, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we've got like level 0, which is like no assistance with driving, for example, and this is like full autonomy. But we've got the same thing with like levels 5s of AI assistance. So for example, level 0, no AI automation, marketing activities, sales activities, delivery and fulfillment and operations are all manual. And then when you've got like different areas, you've got like, for example, when it goes to AI assisted or partial AI automation, you've got more and more happening basically. So the whole point is we talk about over time to become more AI assisted, you need to move along this continuum. And it's all about going from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 to level 5 over time. So this is just a bit of...
And it's not the whole business, is it? The way we approach it is you want to look at low-hanging fruit, different departments, different divisions, different specialisms, different workflows that are probably easily moved. Kind of start with those, and you kind of work across the whole organization. And also this white paper, we're not talking here about digital transformation or using technology or software as a surface. This is actually focused on artificial intelligence.
Exactly. So yeah, that's just a bit of a sneak peek. If you want to get access to it, sign up to our AI Insider newsletter on the website, and we're going to be sending it out basically next week as well, basically, right? So yeah, that's a little bit of a teaser from there. We've got some other white papers which will be coming out to do with our fractional chief AI officers and strategies for enterprise companies as well.
And then the other news, we mentioned it last week. I think now we've locked, if you're in the Northwest or you're going to travel to the Northwest, if you want to join us, on the 18th of October, the venue is TBD. We did have locked in a day for 18th of October for our, it's going to be focused on SMEs, although we might be doing an enterprise event with a different partner either before or just after that. Well, this event is 18th of October, be in Manchester. It's going to be Implement AI, the Manchester Growth Hub and other partners to have an event to help you become AI assisted. So there'll be a mixture of speakers, different sessions, maybe a discussion. We'll talk through some of what we do as well, some of our experiences. So it should be a fantastic session. We're hoping to get 300 to maybe even 400 people there. So look out for the news on that. It'll be on the new website, probably during the course of next week or the week after.
No, exactly. And then like events-wise, Manchester's going to be a big one, but we've also got upcoming ones in London and Dublin. So yeah, we're looking forward to meeting more business owners and more companies, and just really just helping everything get more AI assisted.
So let's go back to kind of news, but also just discussion points as well. So ChatGPT, this is the one that everyone tends to use or is more aware of. They're rolling out a bunch of small updates over time. This is to improve the user experience. Well, I'm always quite surprised they don't roll them out faster. I guess it's because they can't get the GPUs. but it's quite frustrating. For example, we talked about this, really powerful custom instructions, a kind of background prompts. You'd have to keep repeating yourself all the time. That's not available yet. I don't know if you've got it. I haven't. That's not available yet in the UK.
Yeah, because they've got it US cleared. I think they have to like do things based on data policies in different countries over time, but they have to get people used to the AI updates, over time. I think really like from GPT-4, then when they unloaded code interpreter for everyone, that's kind of 4.5 basically, right? And so, GPT-5, that we could talk about it, like, some of the trademarks and some of the different things have been registered, but that it just shows the roadmap of where everything's going to go. But it's already very powerful. I don't know about you, Piers, but like we have these meetings, we have these messages between us where we're uncovering new capabilities and better use cases from the AI ourselves from using it, right? And like I'm constantly impressed by like what they can do, and every day.
It blows my mind. And Alex running a different course for you got teenagers essentially. I've got my 2-on-2 of mine on there, and it's kind of blown their minds. So when I'm working with them, talking about what they're doing and the kind of homework that you've given them, you think, well, that's just so powerful. But all the time I sit back sometimes and just think, wow, that would have taken me a week, and I've done it in Sunday afternoon, something like that. But ChatGPT, they're rolling out prompt examples, so it's okay having these large language models, and also one thing we're going to mention a bit is training. So we are launching for this reason, is that we keep getting asked, but how do I do that? How do I improve that? How does this department use this? Will there be training for Microsoft Copilot or Google Duet? And we've kind of built a training, a plan for it to provide people with training. And one of the big ones is prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Prompt engineering is probably going to be like EFACS. It'll be a intermediary technology or requirement people are going to have, or skill set. But eventually we kind of automate it and understand natural language, what you're trying to think, and you more. But they're kind of providing prompt examples, suggested replies, so you can have deeper conversations with the chatbot. It's going to, this is like a small one, defaulting to GP4 for Plus users. I'm surprised that's news, but it can be quite frustrating because sometimes you start a chat and you forgot to GPT-4, which means you can't use any of the beta service like plugins, for example, and then users are going to be able to upload multiple files. Now, sometimes you hear these things, you can upload multiple files. You think, okay, so what? But now you're talking about comparison. So now you're saying, here are 2 documents, here are 2 spreadsheets, here are 2 images, whatever they might be. Please look at them and compare them. And often you just sit back, again, with a cup of tea and wait for it to tell you what the differences are and the insights that you probably would never have spotted yourself. So even these little things like uploading 2 documents, plus code interpreter, which is the ability to, don't need a data analyst anymore, become extremely powerful. And as Alan was saying, it's only when you just upload things and ask questions and just try things where sometimes the response, the output you get back, astounding.
No, 100%. And like that's why I'm using Claude so much, because the context window is huge, and you can also upload multiple files. And I was literally doing that this week. Like I was uploading 2 different files. I was asking for the commonalities and the differences, and then using those bits to expand on the other one. And, it's if I was trying to do that and like read the whole document and then load that into my context memory, I can't hold everything, so I just really, it gives you a kind of different level of precision that you can work with, and you can work in a logical way. And, if you also use the systems where it shows it's working and helps it do stuff in stages. So part of like important thing to understand with working language models is ask it to do things in stages and then build on that rather than trying to do everything in one go. And these are just examples that we'll be going through in training much more. But honestly, like we said this last week, if the state of AI stopped like innovating and stayed the same now, we have so much more to discover from the capabilities already now. And it's just a question of just like learning how to use them effectively, basically. But yeah, having, AI for marketing departments, AI for sales teams, different things like this, like for customer support. It's all about the use cases and the applications and optimizing your workflows.
And we're also doing a sort of training for large enterprise as well. So you can use this technology to sort of innovate a lot faster. Now, it's all the news. We're also seeing, more news about GPT-5. I think it's all just sort of hot air, to be honest with you. Well, they have tried to register the trademark. They are registering the trademark, whatever that means. I'm not sure exactly what GPT-5 is going to mean. these things are going to be. You've got GPT-4 from OpenAI, and when they add code interpreter, you got to ask yourself, is that a new version? Because it's fundamentally different in terms of its capability now. So though we haven't had a formal GPT-5 with a label stuck on it, custom instructions, code interpreter, the things have changed materially already. So GPT-5 in many ways, here, I'm not sure you're going to have these versions forever. This should just be allowed to evolve and iterate over time based on what they're realizing people want and what works.
Agree, and they are doing exactly that. But I think in the GPT-5, they're talking about speech straight away, talking about processing audio input, and so they're going to go multimodal. And I think the power of code interpreter plus GPT-5 in those dimensions, it's very powerful.
Now, another piece of news, which I find this one quite confusing, is that a lot of the platforms are now rolling out or want to roll out. We mentioned this in the regulatory overviews we did over a couple of weeks ago. Is that the EU, for example, want content and AI generated content and images and video flagged as such to have almost like digital watermarks. And now Meta, they're rolling out potentially content flags on Instagram. So on one hand, you've got all these large tech companies, killing themselves and investing billions to enable people to generate huge amounts of content, text to image or text chatbots, whatever it might be, text to video. And then on the other hand, they want everyone to flag it all. So almost every piece of content is going to have some watermark on it. It's generated by AI. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I think it's because there's all these policies happening in the EU and around the world where it's they want to be able to identify what is AI generated and what is not. And especially with elections coming up, I think they just have to try and get these things in place. But it's kind of a bit of a mess, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If it's a video of your prime minister sitting there having a conversation, you probably want to know whether that's real or not. Whether someone's written an article, who cares?
The AI themselves, they discontinued the AI checker themselves, isn't it? Because it's just not reliable.
Yeah.
You can't understand where it is. But I think we, as a society, we just have to test and work out different ways. And I think in different contexts for different types of information, over time everything's going to become basically AI assisted. Even your eyes, Piers, right? They're AI assisted right now, aren't they?
Yeah. So you're kind of reading my AI of the week now. But if you're on YouTube, I'm looking at the camera, right? And I'm still looking at the camera, but I'm actually not looking at the camera. I'm looking to the left. I don't know what it looks like now. You can see it a lot. I'm looking to the left. There's some notes help the show. Well, my eyes are looking straight into the camera because they're not my eyes. There's some eyes that have been created by a software called NVIDIA Brodcast. So shout out to Andrew Church, the NVIDIA team, when becoming an NVIDIA partner. Well, the idea is that one of the frustrations of being content creators is that you always want to be looking at the camera, don't you? When you're on a video conference call, eventually they'll solve this, but you always want to be looking down the lens like I am now. Well, you also want to be looking at notes or looking at something on a website. And what this allows you to do is to do exactly that. As far as the viewer is concerned, I'm looking straight at the camera. So right now, I'm looking to the left at about probably a 30-degree angle at some notes, but hopefully my eyes are the same. Now, if you kind of go too far, I don't know what will happen. I'll probably break the mold. It all looks a bit weird.
It looks natural.
Sometimes my eyes appear on the wrong side of my glass, and it's a bit odd. So, but again, this is powerful stuff. This is it's a beta. NVIDIA Brodcast is a test, but you can also put your audio through there. You can have take out background noise, fan noise, the birds chirping, whatever, cars, police sirens. So you can now put through audio, video, and also what you hear in terms of the speakers, the output as well, through NVIDIA Brodcast. So it's a great product. And I was trying to, I do quite a few keynotes, some of them virtual as well. I'm going to try and use it for that because it's so important having that kind of eye line, be able to look down the lens as if you're talking to a person, and I love it. So hopefully, if you're watching on YouTube, I don't know if we've spotted it yet, but I'm looking at my eyes. So we've ruined one of my eyes of the week. Thanks for that. So the other news is, we talk about this a lot, and I know you think about this, but we'll touch upon it. But I think we should come back to this one in another session. But more I talk to people about the web and SEO, and have a conversation about an organization I work with quite closely. They've got quite a big digital marketing division. A lot of it's SEO. I kind of He said, what is going to happen to our business? And I kind of said to them, well, I think websites and SEO might go away. And you can see the kind of blood draining out of their face. And I kind of explained it to them that, I've done this example before, that your personal AI, who often talks to corporate AIs, and it'll know who you are, what you want, everything down to your heartbeat at that moment in time. And it can go and negotiate and buy the barbecue you want. You only need to go to a website. Therefore, people who, vendors who've had websites won't need to build websites anymore. It won't make no sense. It won't be worth it. Investment. The website could go away, which means that SEO and search might go away as well. Probably one of the reasons why Google was sort of slower to the party than they could have been, given the fact that they actually invented the transformer model. So I think it's something we can come back to, but that world is going to change massively, and I keep being asked a lot. Just general conversations about where is the web going.
No, it's becoming increasingly fragmented. Like people using GPTs as search, with it being different areas.
I never use search now. Do you use search?
I do.
Like vanilla search.
Occasionally, but I'm finding much better answers from from AI. I'm just searching for different things sometimes now, but it's changing. There's no two ways about it. It's changing.
Right, you get an answer, don't you? Not just loads more questions. What search tends to give you. Anyway, I think we'll come back to that. That's going to be a big one, I think. And maybe we're going to try and...
AI for marketing, that's going to be like its own section, basically.
Yeah, I think we might get some guests on as well. So we might get some experts in there. Maybe people who... We're interested to get people on the pod who are in industries that are disrupting, and also from industries that are being disrupted, see what they're thinking. And so what the news is, what I find really interesting, was some Goldman Sachs... it's Goldman Sachs Economic Research Department. And they put out some research kind of based on the American market. Well, they're saying that by 2025, investment in AI could reach 4% of the GDP. And to give you an idea, electricity and investment in PCs, when they were kind of hit the market, added about 2%, was about 2% of GDP. So these are big numbers, in fact, the size of the US economy. What was interesting is going back to the example there about the internet and getting people on who are disruptors or disruptees, is that 16% of US firms are mentioning AI on their earnings calls. But something it's going to take 2 to 10 years to properly adopt and implement AI. Now, I've said this a lot, right? AI is not the cloud, right? It is not mainframe computers moving to personal computers, so the networks. This is a different kettle of fish. This is going to move a lot faster. I was quite surprised in this research. Another piece of number was 70% of Fortune founders, CEOs. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm looking to the left here, it's 30-degree angle. I'm not looking at the camera. 70% of Fortune 500 CEOs think that AI will change their labor needs in about 5 years out, which I just don't understand. Given the news from IBM, BT, lots of other big companies, I think that, it's like the internet, isn't it? These things are going away a lot faster than these people think it is.
I shared that tweet with you, isn't it? Like where they were looking at not Tesla, Twitter, for example, right? Or X.com, the whole point that you can cut the teams massively, and at the same time you can also leverage technology and different things to kind of improve different things and grow from there. I mean, the number of people that are using GitHub Copilot for coding already, the productivity increases that are possible. I saw an example actually just before where they had an LLM running on a mobile phone which was fine-tuned with medical data, so it was almost like a personal medical assistant, for example. So there's no way this is 3 to 5 years out. This is right now, and this is already shifting behaviors and reducing the need for certain roles, no question.
Yeah, I was really surprised. It's like they're kind of modeling the adoption on to the traditional S curves, I call innovation curve, where it takes a lot longer for technology to be adopted, but once it is adopted, it kind of grows a lot faster than was expected. But I just don't think it's going to be the same. I think once organizations understand the power of this technology, and it's evolved, as we all say, AI today is the worst it's ever going to be. They're going to have to adopt it a lot faster, because if they don't, the competition is.
Correct.
Right, so that's enough there. I was going to do NVIDIA Brodcast AI of the week. We had a little sneak preview of that. But earlier on, when we started off, I was saying a lot of the news this week was kind of consumer, like text and music, for example. Now, some of these things are worth playing with, because I think what they do is provide you with some insight and understanding of what's coming, what is already possible, the art of the possible as well. And one of the things I think is worth looking at, we're looking at this maybe for training even, if it's good enough, is using different platforms where you can create videos. So some try and do all singing and dancing, editing video like in the old-fashioned way where you kind of cut it, or editing video by just amending the text, which is quite powerful actually. But some of these platforms like, Synthesia, where you create avatars, and they can basically talk. And there's other ones like DID as well. What I've been playing with is called Haygen, haygen.com, app.haygen.com. And this allows you to sort of create videos. So for different use cases, well, one of the interesting things you can do is upload a picture of yourself, only a decent picture, sort of head on, complicated. And then you can then go to another 11 Labs, for example, and clone your voice. And then you can then add text into the platform. And then your photograph starts speaking in a reasonably, it's not perfect, but a reasonably natural looking way. Start speaking. This is quite cheap as well. That text, and it can do it in your voice. Now, Synthesia, they do this as well, but slightly more expensive. You can have a avatar of yourself made. But my advice is, my AI of the week is probably Haygen, is an NVIDIA Broadcast. So go away and have a play of NVIDIA Broadcasts. You can use it in your Teams or Zoom calls, and go and have a play with Haygen or DID, and have a play with creating video or creating avatar of yourself, and to start to understand that when this is much better, not far away, you'll be able to do all of your training, all of your onboarding, other communications internally, automatically, then create auto-generated communications, even with prospects, but definitely with customers.
No, that makes sense, totally.
So we're going to leave it there. Well, the kind of give us half an hour. So again, we said that we've launched the website. It's a simple one now. We're going to roll in all the other sections during the course of the week for enterprise, SMEs, the training division, white papers, be a page there with a podcast as well. So have a look at the white papers, access it. Sign up for our AI Insider newsletter. If you're listening to this, you want to see NVIDIA Broadcast in action, because I'm now looking again over there, third angle at some notes. Have a look at us on YouTube, and please do follow us and help us out as far as you can by rating the pod and sharing with anyone you think might find it. And that's it. Anything else from your side, Alan?
No, all good. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Right. Well, thanks for joining us. This is the AI Assisted Organization podcast, Implement AI. We'll see you again next week.
See you.